My name is Haley Graham. In this video, I will be answering some questions that have been presented to me and how I will implement these into my future classroom or my philosophy as a future educator. The first question that I'm going to answer is, what is ABAR? Well, ABAR stands for Anti-Bias, Anti-Racist in Education. It's the framework that aims to foster inclusive and equal learning environments by addressing biases, stereotypes, and inequalities that are faced in the classroom. The next part of the question is, how will I incorporate this into my classroom? Well, incorporating it into my classroom, I will reflect on my biases and actively work on them and develop a growth mindset and hopefully implement this into the children because I want to be the model of change. My students will use texts and materials representing diverse perspectives to ensure and avoid color blindness, recognizing the importance of discussing race, gender, and class. I will use language that affirms students' identities, including race, culture, and gender. I will create a space for discussion and incorporate activities and conversations that challenge biases, such as examining case studies or even current events to help promote and encourage having difficult conversations in the classroom. ABAR is not just about addressing racism, but also about actively working to counter all forms of oppression. Next question that I will be answering is, how can I use identity maps in my classroom to help create a safe and accurately represented classroom? Well, let's break this down. What is an identity map? Well, identity maps are visual tools that allow students to reflect and share aspects of their identities, such as race, gender, religion, and a lot of other aspects that make them, well, them. I will be using the maps by starting with the individual. I will help students with their maps at the beginning of the school year to help them identify themselves. This helps create an environment where students feel seen and valued in my classroom. For those who are not ready or they don't want me to see, that's totally fine. I will help by fostering inclusion by using these maps to celebrate diversity, ensuring that all students feel represented and seen in my classroom. This allows students to understand the multiple layers of identity better. That is what everyone carries and not just what is seen on the outside, and also helps foster empathy and respect. Creating a community in my classroom is also very important. After students complete their identity maps, I will have them share in small groups if they wish. This will help create connections and understandings between students. I see this as a powerful tool for creating a classroom culture where students can finally see that they are similar to each other, but yet they are so different, and they can each learn from each other. Identity is also very dynamic. Before the semester ends, it's important for students to reflect back to these identity maps to see if anything about themselves has changed over the last 16 weeks. This encourages them to consider how their experiences and their environments shape them. This process goes beyond just getting to know your students. This becomes a tool for ongoing reflection throughout the year and dialogue that supports an inclusive, safe classroom environment. Next question. What are 3 tools that you can use to have difficult conversations with your students about racism, race, sexism, classism, ableism, a lot of other isms? Well, having difficult conversations about social justice issues can be challenging, but creating an environment where these conversations are productive, respectful, is crucial. Here are the 3 tools that I will be using in my classroom. One is restorative practices. Provide a structured way for students to converse about these difficult topics. In a circle, students can speak without interruption, creating a space for empathy and understanding. It's like circle time. The circle helps students engage with sensitive topics, like racism, and it fosters accountability, connection, and healing. Next, I'll be using discussion guidelines. I will be setting clear guidelines for respectful conversations about difficult topics. These include listen to understand, not to respond. Speak from your own experience, like I feel, I think, but being open to be uncomfortable, but stay engaged. Everyone's voice matters, but we also need to create space for those who might be affected by the issue themselves. These norms create a safe and respectful environment where all voices can be heard, especially those from marginalized communities. It can be helpful to have a neutral facilitator, either myself or a trained mediator, to guide the conversation, especially if tensions arise, using open-ended questions to prompt critical thinking, like, what do you think this incident says about our society? Or how do you feel when you see the stereotype being represented this way? It encourages deeper reflection and a deeper discussion. These tools support building trust and communication, and how to encourage students to engage critically with difficult topics in a way that is respectful and constructive. The last question that I chose is, what is stereotype threat, and what will you do to be sure that you aren't using stereotypes to form opinions on my own students? Well, let's break this down into a couple bits. Stereotype threat refers to the psychological phenomenon where individuals from marginalized or stereotyped groups experience anxiety or concern that their actions will confirm negative stereotypes about their groups. Well, how will I avoid using that? I will avoid using stereotypes and forming biased opinions on students. I will be more aware of my implicit biases and actively work to challenge them. This requires ongoing self-reflection, education, and seeking feedback from colleagues or even my own students. I will avoid making assumptions about students based on group characteristics, such as race, gender, socioeconomic status. Instead, I want to get to know each student individually, considering their unique background, strengths, and needs. Stereotype threat is often exuberated when students feel that they are held to lower standards just based on their identity. I will set high standards, high expectations, and provide the necessary support and help to all students to reach their potential. This includes differentiated instruction, emotional support, and the ability to tell them you can succeed. Helping students understand that abilities and intelligence can grow with effort and persistence, that's great. This approach reduces the pressure of confirming stereotypes and allows students to take risks without fear of failure, creating a supportive and inclusive classroom where my students feel empowered to succeed regardless of their identity. This will help mitigate the effects of stereotype threat. I am committed to inclusivity and equal opportunities in my teaching. I was stereotyped as a young child. My mother was homeless at one point in her younger life, and when I was in high school, we lived in a motel, and I would consider ourselves that we were poor. My mom was on food stamps. She was the only one working, and I was given so many great opportunities to succeed. I was able to pursue marching band. I was able to I graduated, and that's a lot saying for a lot of the people who were in a similar situation when their mother is poor and they live in a motel, that they don't graduate, they don't succeed. I've gone on to college, and I do consider myself now middle class, but I do feel that I succeeded past the stereotype threat. And yeah, this whole video has been amazing to see how I've changed just from the beginning of the semester itself, not just the quarter, but the semester. And to see that I have changed my thoughts and my own biases. And although I'm not working currently, because I didn't get hired this school year, I can actively see how I will be able to be a better educator for my future students and to my daughter, as we will be undergoing homeschooling here shortly, even though she's not even 2. But I'm going to wrap this up. It's probably dragging. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.